Hi, my name is Tom Plant, and I'm presenting on my paper, Patriotism Divided, the Impact of Mis and Disinformation During the Rally Around the Flag Effect. It starts with a crisis, a cyber attack, an airstrike, or a threat to a U.S. ally. When there's a shock to foreign policy like this, the U.S. government expects both the public and politicians to rally behind the president. But this support is no longer guaranteed. The rise of internet-based news and social media increased the rate at which U.S. citizens receive, interact with, and share mis and disinformation. Given just how polarized the country is, a future attack is likely to spark false and misleading narratives that sweep through social networks and deepen partisan divisions, as we've observed in the past with events like COVID-19. So a future crisis may not unite citizens. Instead, it could drive them apart. There are two main groups who will produce mis and disinformation that impair unity during a crisis. The first group erodes rallies unintentionally, and they're the most prominent group. They're partisan influencers online, news personalities, journalists, politicians, or even celebrities with political agendas. Some of them will see a future crisis as an opportunity to score political points against the government. Imagine an attack on multiple oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, and how someone like Joe Rogan might take to Twitter, spreading disinformation that implicates the administration in the attack. The second group that produces mis and disinformation during a crisis is made up of foreign adversaries. These actors seek to suppress national unity by steering partisan influencers towards mis and disinformation. Because if the elites fall for the fake messages, their audiences will likely do the same. Together, partisans and adversaries will reinforce each other's narratives, both intentionally and unintentionally, creating this entangled web of divisive statements that pits one half of the country against the other. Mis and disinformation, however, mean nothing unless there is an audience to believe it. But in the new information environment, and particularly during a crisis, there will be more eyes than ever on social media. Consider another example, the bombing of the U.S. Embassy. This would be an extremely uncertain situation for U.S. citizens. What people want is closure. What happened, who is to blame, and are we safe in the United States? Individuals will increasingly turn towards their curated news feeds on social media with these questions, often before the answers are clear to anyone. This uncertainty primes them to latch onto bias-confirming narratives. False and misleading hyperpartisan messaging is likely to create two increasingly distinct realities of the crisis, one version for each political party that views the competency and the responsibility of the president differently. This rift in perception leads to a rift in patriotism. For some citizens, supporting the president may actually be the unpatriotic thing to do. After all, if disinformation leads you to perceive the president as responsible for compromising U.S. security or for over-exaggerating a threat, why would you rally? With this type of national behavior, the United States should expect 3 different types of rally around the flag effects in the future. These rallies will differ in duration and intensity based on the sharpness of the crisis. First, in a limited traditional rally, disinformation pits U.S. citizens against each other. However, faint bipartisan support emerges for some foreign policy decisions. Second, in a divided rally, the public fails to unite. Polarization remains strong, and foreign policy decisions are gridlocked. Third, and most dangerous to U.S. security, is the reverse rally. In this situation, false and misleading partisan narratives are so influential that large portions of the population turn against the executive. Deep internal divisions impair the ability of the United States to address the crisis, therefore jeopardizing security. In the past, conflict has depolarized the United States. Greater bipartisanship after World War II is a prime example. But a divided rally would take current levels of polarization, which are already dangerously high, and drive them to new heights. This division would threaten to unravel U.S. democracy. Public trust in the government would decline, and presidents would feel pressure to consolidate power in order to sidestep bipartisan approval for decisions. A weakened rally also impacts the ability of the government to streamline a cohesive response to the attack, from the decision to respond to the timing of the response, to the ability to sustain this response. In the long run, if the United States cannot unify its citizens during a crisis, its status as a leader of liberal democracy may further weaken. Divided rallies would lead to incoherent foreign policy across administrations, where the United States is unable to consistently deliver on its promises to allies or follow through on its threats against adversaries. And as a result, we may see premature rollbacks on sanctions or early withdrawals of troops. But the U.S. foreign policy community can take action to discourage, reverse, and divided rallies. Before a crisis, the United States government can release intelligence that exposes what false or misleading rumors are likely to emerge. This strategy is called pre-bunking, and it was particularly prominent before the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February. Following a crisis, the United States will make a statement, and when it does so, it must provide trustworthy information. This message should appeal to universal democratic values and should be transparent about the necessary domestic sacrifices. By understanding weakened rallies, we can understand the future of public support during a crisis. The consequences of divided rallies are indiscriminate to political party. When one happens, everybody loses. And unless the United States addresses this issue, it may be unable to rally its population in the moment that it needs unity the most. Thank you.